Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Rings of Power just turns into another disastrous dumpster fire every single week, it seems like, for Amazon out there, no matter how they try to tout and say it's the #1 premiere on streaming for our service with 40 million people watched. Of course, being a completely and totally BS nonsense number that we don't actually have anything to compare it to. But, boys and girls, those numbers that we do have to compare it to, well, as we know, it's already into the second, coming up on the third week out there for the Rings of Power Season 2's absolute abomination, the $1 billion disastrous dumpster fire that Jeff Bezos has on his hands. And guess what? It is now once again lost half its viewership all over again. It's going to be a miracle if anybody is left watching this show by the end, ladies and gentlemen, because from our friends over at thatparkplace.com, viewership data shows The Lord of the Rings of Power, total watch time declined by over 51% in its third week. It's already in the acolyte territory. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any hopes of Rings of Power getting canceled, well, guess what? That's not going to happen. They are committed all the way towards the end, and I cannot wait to see by the end of this series how low these numbers actually end up getting, because I think at some point, literally, it'll be nothing more than the simps for the spirit of the age and YouTubers out there trying to review this absolute abomination and disgrace and disrespect to the great work of J.R.R. Tolkien out there, the professor himself that created the beautiful universe that is Lord of the Rings. Well, I can't wait, because this is absolutely hilarious. So we're going to check out this article from That Park Place, get into all of the juicy details of the latest numbers showing how much of this abomination is absolutely failing. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, because boys and girls, we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below letting us know, what do you think about this? Does it surprise you at all? Are you one of those people out there that's trying to slog through this just so you can roast it and come with an informed decision? Or are you just like the other millions upon billions of people around the world globally who have completely checked out and have no desire to watch this show in any way, shape, or form, and you're just here to laugh for all the lulz to see how much of this disastrous dumpster fire can really end up being? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. So from our dear sweet friends over at That Park Place and John F. Trent, new viewership data from Illuminate reveals that The Lord of the Rings of Power, total watch time for its third week declined by over 51%. Yes, over half of the folks that tuned in just to see how much of a disastrous dumpster fire season 2 is going to be, after all the promises of them, we're going to stick to the lore more accurately, it's going to be so action heavy, you're going to love it. Well, apparently, even after releasing three episodes to pad those numbers in the first week, by the fourth episode, well, it's already over. Data analytics company Illuminate reports that The Lord of the Rings of Power, only garnered 372.7 million minutes watched for the week of September 6th through September 12th. That is 51% less than the show's second week, where it garnered 764.7 million minutes watched. Its first week, the show only garnered 63.2 million minutes watched, albeit it was only available to watch for a single day in Illuminate's weekly window, i.e. why we're not comparing their first week to their second week, but their second week to their third week. I mean, that's absolutely insane. The fifth episode in a series that is already not going to be very long to begin with, and they literally tried to jumpstart the numbers to try to trick investors into thinking that the show is actually successful and not just $1 billion set on fire before our very eyes. Well, it's not going to work out with the rest of the series, now will it? So Variety reported the show failed to chart in the top 10, but instead was listed on Illuminate's chart as 37th. 37th. Boys and girls, this is an abominable, disastrous dumpster fire for Amazon. Jeff Bezos has got nothing but egg on his face for this. And guess what? You get exactly what you deserve. You decide to disrespect Tolkien, and you decide to disrespect the fans and call us a bunch of right and sexist and just try to drive your agenda over actual good storytelling that at the end of the day Even if you don't have a problem with them race swapping and gender swapping characters and completely and totally destroying how they're actually represented in their books, even if you don't care about Tolkien's lore or status in any way, shape, or form, the stories make no sense and they literally fall apart as soon as you try to critically examine them in any way, shape, or form. It's not just woke, it's an extremely bad fantasy show on top of it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, obviously, the second week should have gotten significantly more watch time because Prime Video and Amazon MGM Studios released 3 episodes right off the bat with a total run of 204 minutes, while the 4th episode, which debuted on September 4th, only has a run title of 65 minutes. And its 5th episode runtime, which debuted on September 11th, is just 61 minutes. Oh my God. Hour-long, essentially movies that you have to slog through in this boring drivel. No wonder all the critics are saying it's so slow. An hours-long episode that is not going to help pad your runtime minutes if no one's watching. And guess what? A 61-minute long episode is just another reason why no one wants to watch this stuff. However, the fact that the second week only had a peak of 764.7 million has to be disastrous for Prime Video. Given Nielsen reported back in 2022, the first week of the show's 2-episode premiere raked in 1.253 billion minutes watched. Literally almost half, almost cut in half all over again. Those first 2 episodes only had a runtime total of 132 minutes. Once again, not even close. So even if you give Prime Video its best case scenario, the show only brought in around 4.06 million viewers. That is way down compared to the estimated 9.5 million viewers the first season brought in. That's a decline of 57.2%. Yes, boys and girls, it is indeed true that they lost over half of their viewership from their season 1 premiere. And of course, we've been over the Samba numbers, talking about how much of a disastrous dumpster fire that is, literally cut in half again. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Because every time we report on these numbers, no matter what metric we use outside of Amazon's own BS numbers that we'd have no idea what they actually mean in any way, shape, or form, half the viewers are gone again. Your billion-dollar disastrous dumpster fire, Jeff Bezos, can't even keep around half of its audience from season 1 to season 2, or even from episode to episode. How's that going to work? And this is IGN reports. It's just showing the exact same thing over and over again. And of course, like we've been over these BS numbers that they've tried to put out there, we know it's their #1 worldwide on Prime Video. Well, that's pathetic. I'd hate to see the numbers for the rest of your shows if this was your #1 premiere. And of course, picking fights with your fans don't help either out there, calling us trolls like showrunner J.D. Payne decided to tell The Hollywood Reporter. And for those who watch every episode and negatively write about it on social media and make YouTube videos, we're happy to have you guys. It would be a journey. It wouldn't be a journey through Middle Earth without some trolls along the way. Oh, yes, those evil trolls out there. Hey, guess what? I've watched 1 episode of your series, and that's all the numbers you're getting out of me because this thing's a hot garbage abomination and it's doing so bad in the ratings, I don't even have to watch it to review it. I'll just keep roasting your viewing numbers. How's that working out for you, J.D. McCain? How's that panning out for you? Yeah. This strategy didn't work out for The Acolyte, and it's unlikely to work out for Prime Video, Amazon, MGM Studios, and The Rings of Power. In fact, The Rings of Power is already at The Acolyte levels. Luminate reported that the show garnered 380.5 million minutes watched in its second week. It then fell to 262 million by its third week before falling to 232 million in its fourth week. By the show's fifth week, it fell off Luminate's top 10 chart with a viewership below 282 million. Yes, boys and girls, Rings of Power Season 2 is turning out to be the exact disastrous dumpster fire that we all expected. And yes, it's already in the realms of the Acolyte territory. Well, guess what? Amazon, MGM Studios, and Jeff Bezos, and J.D. Payne, and all of the rest of you assholes involved in this show that decided to come out there and not only disrespect the fans with your absolutely abysmal writing, disrespect Tolkien's great lore out there, But then to come out there and accuse us all of racist if we don't want to watch your disastrous dumpster fire of a show that makes sense. Well, guess what? It's not just the screaming heads out here on YouTube, on the internet. It's the millions of people around the world who have checked out of your disastrous dumpster fire of a show. Because guess what? You lost over half your viewership from episode 1 to the last episode of season 1 out there. 63% is what you lost. And now you are losing 50% over and over again per every single episode. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how low this show can go, but I'm excited to see how bad it is, because this is a disastrous dumpster fire. You disrespect Tolkien, you disrespect the fans, you disrespect the lore, and decide to push your agenda over absolutely everything else. Guess what? That black elf that feels like he's so seen and represented ain't being seen by nobody. Jeff Bezos, you're getting exactly what you deserve. You disrespected the fans, you disrespected Tolkien, and now your show's turned into the biggest billion-dollar disaster in Hollywood history. How well's that going to go over at the cocktail parties you so desperately wanted to get access to? Because Bezos wasn't happy just being a nerd and a billionaire. No, he wanted to hobnob with Hollywood. And that $1 billion you just burned to do that is blowing up in your face. You get what you deserve, Bezos.